All right. Hi, everyone. So I wanted to make a video for everyone just to cover things that we weren't able to cover during class. I know that we have to get through a lot of information, going over design principles and its foundations before you can get into the software itself. And I understand we have a limited amount of class time, so I thought it would be helpful if I started creating maybe mini video sessions that cover a bit more tools in Photoshop that we didn't or we weren't able to cover during class. So I have my workspace ready to go. You can follow along or you can just watch me. These videos, hopefully they help. I will check in next class. Hopefully you all were able to see it after I am finished and I upload it to Blackboard. And it helps. And if it does, I will take that into consideration and start doing them, try to do them at least once a week so you have some extra support. All right, so we're just going to go through a few different things in this video. So first, I already have my images pre-uploaded. So what we're going to do here first is we're going to adjust the image quality. So first, I have an image of flowers. These will all pretty much be images of flowers except for one that's of a woman. First, we're going to adjust the brightness and contrast of this flower. And it's very simple. So what we're going to do first is you are going to go up to the menu bar on the top left hand, which is right here, if you follow my mouse, and you're going to select image. From image, you will then go to the adjustments. And from adjustments, it's the first one there, brightness and contrast. It will then automatically open up this panel right here. It has a slider for both brightness and a slider for contrast. And I also make sure to click this preview button. It also has a shortcut key, which is Option plus P, so that when you're doing these sliders and doing the adjustments, it'll give you real-time view. So as I am sliding up the brightness of these flowers, you can see how the image changes. Going on the other side, you see how it darkens, obviously. Then we're going to adjust the contrast, lower contrast versus a higher heightened contrast, a lot more beautiful. You can see the colors a lot better. So it's pretty simple. And once you're done and you're satisfied with how the image looks after you've done adjustments to the brightness and contrast, you hit OK. And then that's pretty much it. And then this is now your image. Next, we can dive into vibrancy of an image. So adjusting the color vibrance. So what you're going to do is we're going to go back to the menu on the top left hand. We're going to hit image again, adjustments. This time we're going to go down a little to vibrance. So it will open again its own property panel to show you that there are two sliders that you can adjust on vibrancy and then the saturation. Like I said before, make sure that preview option is checked so that you can see changes in real time. So here, vibrance, you can see the difference. More vibrancy, a lot more colors. Same thing with saturation, see how it's all grayed out. No life in it, but now let's get some life back. Let's get warm, too warm. And then we just adjust however you'd like. And then once that looks good to your liking, hit OK. And it's very, very simple, nothing too crazy. You can, we're going to get into different levels of color, especially when we talk about color theory. But that's pretty much what you do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the hue and saturation. of this image right here. So we're going to go back to image, adjustments. Then this time under vibrance, we're going to hit hue and saturation. So here, this menu is a little bit different. So when we talk about hue and saturation, we're talking about color. And hue specifically is color. So we can change the color with hue. The saturation affects the intensity of that color in the image, and then the lightness affects the brightness of that image. And there's also an option where here in the drop-down menu, you can select a certain color that will only affect when you're doing your changes to only affect that specific color. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to hit yellow. So it'll boost the yellow specifically, or you can click on this yellow and then it will adjust the yellow to where you want it to be. It'll give you more yellow. You see how that changes? You can also save so a save preset, load preset. So if you want to save a preset, that just means you want to save the color saturation and the hue saturation for the specific image to affect another one. So like look at how it looks. Cool, looks good. Adjustments again, hue and saturation. And start clicking around and seeing, oh, what color hues and everything. And then that's pretty much it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our adjustments layers. So this is going to be a little bit different. So adjustment layers is a tool that gives you additional editing flexibility. So it allows you to re-edit an image adjustment that you've made and protect the original image from those direct changes. So what we're going to do is we are going to only affect really one of these. So we have two images here, one flower here, and then this big bouquet. I kind of want to keep this first small bouquet untouched for now, but I want to edit this background image. So I need to make sure that I'm in my layers panel, which is the bottom right-hand side. I'm going to click on the background. And then what I'm going to do is once I click on it, that assures me that that's the only layer that's going to be affected with my changes. So after that, I go to the bottom panel here where all these icons are. I am going to click Create New Fill or Adjustment Layer. Then, because I'm doing a black and white adjustment layer, I'm going to hit black and white. Now, this will automatically create a new adjustment layer and it'll appear in the layers panel above the image layer that I selected. So it'll only affect the layer below this new adjustment layer. So it'll only affect this background. So the properties panel will open up, which is right on top of here. So here you can read properties. So you'll see all of the colors here that can be affected. So we can just go through each of these. It'll go through the reds. Watch how when I'm doing my slider, it's affecting the flowers itself on there. Yellows, greens, cyan, blue, and magenta. So there are a few changes that are happening, especially when you're going through all these sliders. So so with these layers panels and the property panel, we're able to customize the image and convert it from color to black and white by adjusting the controls. So it's pretty much how you're able to edit one photo and not everything that's on your workspace. And then when we're done, we can just click the double arrow that's right up top here, close it, and then we are good to go. Okay, so next I'm going to be going over the browse, select, and importing Adobe stock assets so that you know where to get them, how to get them when you're bringing in Adobe stock images. Now I am under the guidance that you have a certain amount of Adobe stock images that you can use. I was also told that for each student account, you have a limited amount of generative AI credits. I do not have a certain idea how many credits you have, so make sure when you are logging in to the lab computer desktops that it should be able to show you how many credits you have. Make sure you're logging into your own account because if you're using somebody else's, they may have already used up their credits for that month and it cycles every month. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I have Photoshop, the workspace open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new file. I'm going to hit custom, create. So I did my mood board, I did my thumbnails, I did my concepts, and so now I'm ready to start building things out. So here you have a contextual taskbar that's going to be right on the bottom. This is going to be where it's kind of a nice shortcut key. We did not have this back in my day, which is um, I'm very jealous that you have it now, but here it is. So now you're able to use it and it's a lot more convenient. So you will have this taskbar that's going to be always on the bottom. You can always move it anywhere. I just like to keep it on the bottom. So last class we went over generating an image. Once you click on that, you just have to put in a specific prompt and then it'll create that image for you. This middle one is just add from device. That's just adding from a saved area from your desktop that you had already. Or you can use this add free Adobe stock images. So you'll click on there. Um, it'll show you all of the different pre-loaded images that they have. There's also a search bar on the top where you can say, I want to look up a red hot air balloon. But for now, we're just going to click on this weird looking frog and then hit add. And just give it a couple seconds while it adds on here. Perfect. You can then scale it down, scale it up, however you want. And then once you're done, you click on this arrow key to set the image in place of your workspace. So now that you have this image, your conceptual toolbar adjusts to a different process of your designing. So it'll help you select that subject. You can remove the background or you can adjust the colors. And it has different toolbars here, transforming the image, opening the action panel, which will open up here to the right. You can add more images or add or generate even more. More options is just it'll open up your properties panel. You can hide the bar, reset the bar position, pin the bar so that If you're working on stuff and you're, taking one image and putting it on the other side, and then you don't want to accidentally like hit this toolbar and move it while you're working, you can always pin it. If for some reason you're clicking off and you're like, oh, okay, well, I really want, to add another image, where's that contextual toolbar? Click on that image itself or the layer, and then it'll come back here. It won't completely disappear. And then you have options to add from device, add more free Adobe stock images, or generating an image. Again, the generative AI, use it at your discretion, of course, but remember that you have a certain amount of credits. So don't use all those credits that you have for only one, like each month, all at once. All right. Okay. So now what I'm going to show you is how you can customize your toolbar. So the Photoshop toolbar gives you quick access to commonly used tools, so you can add and remove and rearrange tools to suit your workflow or your needs. And you can start doing this once you start getting more comfortable with the workspace. But how you do that is you're going to go up to this menu bar on the top. You're going to hit Edit, and then you are going to go down all the way down and hit Toolbar. So it'll give you this properties panel. This is where all your tools are going to be. So you can click, edit, drag and drop tools and groups to reorganize the toolbox. You can move less frequently used tools to this extra tools so that this, like say I just want the lasso tool, polyagonal, and like remove tool. That is what will show here on this left-hand side. If you put it in extra tools, you can drag and drop. If you put it in extra tools, spot healing brush, it won't be on here. It'll be where you click more tools on these three. So it'll say show those three dots, and it'll show all these extra tools that you're going to put here. You can also, once you're done creating your extra tools, once you're done creating your toolbar itself, you can save the preset so that whenever you are opening up your Photoshop, it'll continue to stay that same toolbar adjustment. It won't reset and it'll go back to what it was before. No, it'll save and it'll stay that way. If you want to restore to defaults, that's where you're going to click Restore Defaults, where you just want to reset and you're like, oh, I don't really like how my workflow is. I actually really want this spot healing tool brush where I need it to be beforehand, where it was before. You can then hit Restore Defaults. You can also select Clear Tool, so to get all these extra tools off of here and going back here. And then once you're done, you can hit done or cancel. And I'm just going to cancel it because I don't want it to mess with my workspace. Okay, so say, okay, I have this great frog here, but I don't really like this black background. I think it's just too much. I want some more color. The frog itself is so colorful. I want some more color in there. How can I remove the background from my image? So two options. Once you click on the image, the contextual toolbar can do it for you and it'll remove your background. I will say it is a hit or a miss sometimes because it does great 80% of the time, but sometimes it will not be 100% accurate. So, for example, if I hit this, maybe it'll cut off. This blue is a bit close at times with this black, so it might recognize this dark blue section as black, and it might be take off or shave off part of that leg. So use again at your discretion. It's very easy to use. But you can click on it. I'm not going to click on it now because it does take some time and I don't want it to glitch my Zoom, but that's pretty much how you would how you do it. And if it does it and you're missing a leg, there's a shortcut key that you can undo your previous action and it'll just be on Mac, Command Z. So be familiar with Command Z because it will help you whenever you are um, wanting to go back and revert to what you had beforehand. Okay, so next I want to go back and talk about an image size. So whenever you are saving, import, or exporting, excuse me, um, to upload something or to have something printed out, you really have to make sure the image size is what you need it to be. So to check your image size, you'll go to Image, hit Image Size, and it'll show up and give you a Properties panel here. It'll show you the image size, the dimensions of what it is. Um, Now it says fit to, that just shows like the provided preset option to resize your image quickly to common sizes. So it'll show you different common sizes here. And I love how each of these presets, whether there are different sizes and dimensions here, it always stays in 300 dpi. Make sure that it is always 300 dpi. Now, dependent on where you are going to, how do I say, export it. Um, if you're doing something lower than a 300 dpi, so these are more so like digital stuff. This A4, A6 legal letter, that's where you're printing it out on physical paper. I would always double check where you are printing it at that can accept a lower um, size of DPI. Just make sure that you are covered in image quality and also just image sizing. And it also shows you the width and the height, resolution again here, pixels per inch. And the resample, it just adds or removes pixels to resize the image without altering the resolution. So it's automatic. You can change it however you'd like. I, for one, don't really like to adjust the resampling. I like to do automatic because if I click automatic, it is already fine with the presets that I've already put in when I started creating this document. And then once you're done, you can hit OK, or there is this new tool right here on the bottom. If you want to make the document larger with more detail, you can use Open in Generative Upscale. And we will be talking about AI tools in Photoshop this coming week, next week, and week 2. So I won't click on that just yet. But once you're done, you can then just click OK. And this right here, when you are changing the sizing, when you are changing the width or the height, the resolution, the resampling, it gives you a real-time look and preview of what that looks like, and it'll hone in on a specific area and tighten in on that image so that you can see the changes in quality, which I always love. You always love a good real-time preview. And when you're done, just click OK. And obviously it will load to according to the adjustments that you made. So one more thing when we're talking about file size and image quality. So the file size itself refers to like the digital storage size. And there are different measurements of that. So it can be kilobytes, megabytes, or gigabytes. So the file size is, directly proportional to the pixel dimensions of an image. So the larger pixel dimension, it will give you greater detail at a specific given print size, but it will require more disk space and it can slow down editing and printing. So you have to kind of mess around and find a balance between the resolution and the file size so that there is quality and efficiency within your printing. There are file formats where there's compression methods, and those vary. So you can compress an image size and it'll still keep, you know, most of the great quality, um, but it'll be a different file size for the same image dimensions. And that can vary through saving it in a GIF, in a JPEG, in a PNG, or a TIFF file. Now, when we talk about printing or printer solutions, printers are measured in DPI. So the higher the DPI value results in the better printing output. So most inkjet printers operate in a range of 720 to 2088, 880, excuse me, DPI. So an image resolution of at least 220 pixels per inch, so PPI, is usually sufficient to achieve high quality prints on an inkjet printer, but again, don't ever go lower than a 300, just so that you still have good image quality universally. So when we talk about printer resolution, we can also talk about the relationship between a printer resolution and screen frequency. So screen frequency just means the number of printer dots or halftone cells per inch to print grayscale images and color separations. Um, and then the relationship between that is that the balance is between the image resolution and the screen frequency and how it plays a role in the print quality. So the image resolution should generally be about 1.5 to 2 times the screen frequency for the best halftone results. Um, you can also like different considerations. You have to make sure that if there is a certain DPI set for laser printers or inkjet printers, those will probably be different. Um, and you should double check to see what the optimal output is for that image itself. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is just go over the selection tools, just do a quick overview of them. So on the left-hand side of my workspace, this top tool is going to be the Move tool. So it moves a selection or a layer, pretty simple. The next one is the rectangular marquee tool. So it just makes rectangular selections. Same goes for elliptical, single row, single column. And you can see here, remove, oh, oops, excuse me. Oh, it's because I don't have the layer selected. Deselect. Try that again. Let's see. There we go. Well, it's going to take a very long time, so let me just cancel that. But where you put the elliptical marquee tool, it will affect everything that's inside there. And make sure you touch and select the layer that you want affected. It didn't work when I tried it the first time. It's because I didn't have the layer selected. So you can either deselect, or a shortcut key to deselect is Command D. All right, so next is going to be the lasso tool here. The lasso tool makes freehand selections. So this allows me to be more free form with my selection and take that area of what I want. The oh gosh, polygonal, excuse me. Oh my goodness, I cannot. polygonal tool, apologies if I'm saying that incorrectly, is more so connecting straight line selections, and that will be this one right here. So it's a lot more strict and sharp. And this can go hand in hand if you're trying to edit a photograph that has architecture or buildings in it where it has sharp edges. And magnetic lasso tool will make selections that snap to the edges in the image as you drag it. So you click and drag. So it'll adjust to the image outline automatically. I'm just moving my mouse around, but it is attaching to the image outline. And then I'm just going to come back here and click. Oh, and where? Oh, I forgot. Where's my end? Well, make sure that you remember your end or else you won't be able to close the circle. But anyways, oops, let's go back here. Let's do, oh my goodness. Oh, I really don't know where my end is. Oh, all right, back to where we were beforehand. Um, so I'm gonna do that one more time so I can show you. Make sure that you remember your ends or else you will have so many different points to figure out. But if you just double click, it'll reset. All right, and the next one is a quick selection tool. So what that looks like is the brush that's making a circle. Oops. Quick selection tool. So this quick selection tool selects specific areas of an image. So you can, I just clicked once and I'm holding my button down and just pushing my brush around the image itself, and it'll automatically populate and grab the image. All right, so say, okay, I got this leg, but it took this black space in between the leg. We can go up to this left-hand panel on the top, click, instead of this plus sign, we're going to click the minus sign. We're going to go back in, click and drag so that it has no selection over that black in between the legs and sharpens that right there. I'm going to deselect. The magic wand tool is going to look like a literal magic wand. Click on that. And you can just click specific areas of an image as well. And it'll take specific images. So maybe this is more so centered on a specific space within that image. So it'll click all of that. Deselect. All right. And I believe last one is object selection tool. So it will select objects within the image. So made that rectangle. Now it's saying finding objects in your image. And it automatically created an outline, which is once you click on that outline there, it's pink. So that's what it'll show your image itself, that little outline right there. Select. All right, so just wanted to do a quick overview of some tools that we did talk a little bit about some of the tools that I talked about today. But also I wanted to show how you can, oh, actually, before I finish, I would like to show you how you create a grid line in your documents. So I'm going to do new file, my custom, create. So this is actually going to be the last thing I show you. So to show or hide guidelines, grids, or smart guides, you're going to go up to this menu and you're going to hit view. So here, and you go all the way to the almost towards the bottom, there's new guides where you can create a new guide. Um, there is also, you can do view and then show. Here we go. Grid. And it'll create a grid for you. And don't worry, this is just for you to visually see where you're placing things. A grid will not print out. If you're printing this out physically, this grid will not print out. This is only for your own visual reference. And the same thing goes for smart guides, grids, and everything like that. That is going to be the last thing I show you. Okay, so thank you all. Hopefully this has helped you. Please send me an email if you have any questions, if you are stuck on a few things. Please be ready to talk more about Photoshop, and also if you have any good examples of graphic design that shows visual hierarchy, composition, and typography, just take a screenshot of it. If you have a physical form and or took a picture of it, bring it into class so we can talk about it. All right, thank you, everybody.